Welcome to our first module of the semester. So I will be making one of these videos that walk through the instructional content and the activities for every single week. And each of them will just be maybe about 7 to 10 minutes long at the most. And I highly encourage you to watch these videos. Invest just a few minutes here and I promise you it will save you time in questions and frustration in the end. And so let's get into what we're doing today. And as you see, I've opened the modules 1, 2, and 3 because they all focus on our first project, the autoethnographic essay. I will be opening the rest of the modules as we move through the course. And you can see, again, as I've mentioned before, each of these modules will have 2 sections. A section of instructional content. This is all of the learning, the background, the theory, the foundational information you need to have in order to then move into the other section, the activities and the assignments. And these will be the submissions, the things that you will participate in and submit to me and get feedback on, receive feedback on. And so you can see this week, we're having 2 discussion boards. We usually won't have 2 discussion boards in a week, but this one is important because our first one is just a get to know you, an icebreaker discussion where we will introduce ourselves. And then the next thing that we're going to be doing is annotating our first writing project. We don't have any time to waste in these short 8-week courses. And so we're going to jump right into our first writing project. And then we'll have a discussion. But I'll walk through those a little bit more in just a minute. First, I'm going to go through the instructional content. And I'm going to go through these one at a time. Okay, so just bear with me. The first one is an explanation. It's a video where I explain my reasoning behind my policy. And this is a strict policy of no AI-generated material or enhanced material. This is a writing course. This is a place where we can learn and practice and receive feedback and improve our writing skills and the critical thinking, the intellect, the incredible opportunity to expand our mind through writing. And so go through the class not just seeking a grade, not just seeking that degree, but seeking an education. And so I have here again a video explaining my reasoning, and content from this will be on the syllabus quiz. And there's also an excerpt from a podcast with Brene Brown where she shares something really startling about what she has seen about leaders and CEOs and high position, high power individuals and what they consider, how they consider learning and its purpose. So watch over that. And I'm also sharing here, it's been a couple years now since AI is rolled out. And now that research is starting to roll out as well. And it is not looking good for AI and its impact on the way we think, on our intellect, on our brains. And if you go through here, I have all of these. They're images of different research articles where I have included the abstract. And each of these are hyperlinked to the original article. But as you see here, I'm going to go right down here. There are so many research articles being published right now, and a lot of them are saying the same things. How the use of AI homogenizes the impact of our thinking, how they're diminishing, how they are creating a menace, how they are basically stopping our intellectual progress and our intellectual creativity and our intellectual potential. I mean, it is stark and it is scary, actually. And so I'm sharing this with you because, yes, I am on my soapbox. Yes, I am nearly pleading with you all not to turn your work or let AI take over your opportunity to learn. And yes, it's cheating for one thing, but also it's just robbing you of an education. It's robbing you of the chance to really expound and kind of explode intellectually. Okay. And so that's here, nothing to turn in, but I'm ask you to just look it over so you can be aware of what's going on. The next page is just a couple videos on annotating, because we are going to have some activities over the semester where you are going to be annotating different articles and different project overviews. And so this explains what annotation is, why it's important, and how to do it on Canvas. Then this is our first writing project, which is going to be an autoethnographic research and writing project. Don't let that word, autoethnography, scare you. It's quite simple, it's quite basic, but it's really important method of research. This class is all about methods of research and writing research and basing arguments on research. And so we're going to explore a couple different methods of research. Autoethnography is one of them. I'm not going to say a whole lot here because I already have a video where I walk through the assignment. But this is something that you're going to need to study several times as we move through this first section. And the next page is all about communities, because this is an important part of our autoethnography. Once you read that assignment and watch that video, this will make more sense, because we're going to be studying and analyzing the behavior of within one of our personal communities. Now we're getting into the assignments and the activities. Again, like I said before, the first one is a discussion board where we just introduce ourselves. And we're going to introduce ourselves, pretty soon, right? The first introduction is due Tuesday night, and then you'll have a couple of days to respond to one another. The next activity is that annotation for that first writing project. This allows me to make sure that you've all read it, and it allows you a space where you can ask me questions about it. And so look over that handout or that page that I just shared, how to annotate readings on Canvas, and then follow these instructions and go down here. Here's the tools right here that you'll be using. And here is the page that you will annotate. Once you are done, you'll just submit right down here. Okay? Nothing to download. Guess I want to leave it. Nothing to download or do by hand. You can do it all right there on Canvas. The second activity, or the third activity, is going to be another discussion board, and it is a discussion on the social significance of our everyday behaviors. In our autoethnography, we are going to be studying the behavior of the people within a personal community in order to name a pattern of behavior that is meaningful. All right? This activity helps us to kind of shift our thinking into the significance, into seeing the significance of our everyday, mundane, boring behavior. Because everything we do impacts society, and it's been impacted by society throughout the previous generations, right? And so I'm going to ask you to first share a little story, just 150 words, a little description of something that you have experienced within the last 48 hours. This can be something boring, something mundane. In fact, the more boring, the better. And just make sure it's G-rated, because we are going to be sharing this, okay? And so within 48 hours, you are going to respond to 2 classmates' posts and offer ideas of the social relevance of that mundane or boring experience that they shared. And I'm sharing some examples here of my own experiences. So playing with my dog, cooking Sunday dinner, organizing my office, okay? And so here are some ideas of the social significance, okay? So pets, have they become a marker of social status and prestige and power, okay? How do walking pets suggest a social performance of responsibility, of identity? So there's a lot of complex ideas happening within each of these mundane activities. And that's it for this week. Then we're going to get into our second week, and I will provide another overview for our second week's activities. Reach out if you have any questions, and have a great week.